being present and involved in this conversation. The state's witness will testify to the amount of money that was to be paid for the murder. A state's witness will testify to the individuals responsible for the payment. That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment. A state's witness will also testify to the individual who would receive this payment. The state's witness will testify that Kewan White was, in fact, the individual to receive this payment, who was originally indicted in State's Exhibit number 1, the probable cause, which is before this court. The state's witness would also testify that Kewan White, or to who shot and killed Melvin Noble. This witness would also testify to Kewan White being the individual who shot and killed Mr. Noble on November 11th of 2020. Again, this conversation took place in the days following Mr. Noble's murder. The state has also had an opportunity to review bank records of the defendant, Marquise Conway. These records would show that the defendant drew $40,000 in the days following the murder.
Welcome back to the Beat Factory 313 War Stories podcast, and I'm your host, Juice, and we got another exclusive one for y'all here today. Mobile, tell them who we got with us today.
Yeah, my name is Edward Hicks.
How's it going, Hicks? What's going on with the brother?
Everything's going okay despite my circumstance.
Man, I'm glad you called today.
Okay.
Let the people know what the circumstances is, what brought you here today, my brother, where we could get you some assistance.
I couldn't hear you, sir. Say that again.
Let them know what brought you here today, so we could get some assistance out there.
Okay, so my story is one of redemption. Young man who experienced some things in life that affected me in emotional manners, that altered the way I think, the way I perceive myself, and the way I perceive my environment. Those resorted to certain behaviors. And those behaviors particularly was an attraction to the streets. So due to certain figures in my life, being prominent men who I attached myself to emotionally, I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And this is a problem that most youth face. Most individuals don't have the ability to articulate this until it's too late, because they don't come into certain forms of information to understand the traumas, pain, and the hardships they face and how they impact their lives. So on my journey growing up, we're going to speak about redemption. In order to be redeemed, the person has to go through some things. They have to be able to understand the struggle and the adversities they face in order to come out on the other side. Mine began pretty much with my prison sentence. Prior to my prison sentence, I lived a life of crime. I chose to sell drugs, I chose to rob people, I chose to harm people, put myself in a negative light, even though that's not how I was raised. Those are not the lessons my mother or my father instilled in me. And it quickly eroded my life. I'll never be the one to claim street fame or the glory of the streets. The streets have never done anything but destroy my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was a young guy who sold real estate, had a very successful job, but I took my legal money and attempted to dirty it up just due to attempting to gain some form of reputation, which at the end of the day was an illusion. Those behaviors, as I continued to travel down that path, eventually led to the death of my mother. The death of my mother eventually became the reason I'm convicted, sitting in prison, facing a life sentence. This is a tragic, destructive story. A story that took me to the brinks of suicide. It caused me to lose people very close to me. Even though I had support from those who were very, very dear to me, I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. I felt alone in the world. It caused me to get to a point to where I wanted to take my life. Losing your mother, the person who's most close to you, being convicted for her death, can cause psychological hardships that are extremely, extremely difficult to face. So in those dark moments of my life, I quit believing in God. I pushed my family away. I pushed the women who supported me away, and I found myself at the lowest position or state in life. But in that position, I also found life. Listening to my sister telling me how my family supported me, how they believed in me, how the people who support me fight for me, made me understand that despite the accusations that's placed on me, I can overcome anything.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a little closer to God in those moments, I began to understand who Edward was. I let go of the guy that they call He. He was a character that was created in the street to present a particular form or an illusionary form to protect myself. It's very difficult when a person has no sense of self-worth. Or, me, I was like very introverted. So it would be things on my mind that I wouldn't express. Not that I didn't have the courage to say it, but I just didn't feel comfortable. Many of my things based upon the trauma of, how do you say, what's the term? The term would be abandonment issue. My father shared some things with me during my youth when it came to me supposed to being aborted, not being wanted. And these things played a major role in how I viewed myself. My brother, on the other hand, was a person who embraced me, showed me love, but he was an individual who was involved in street life. So that's the person I attached myself to, my brother. I wanted to be Andre growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any value in Edward. So I buried Edward, created E, and walked through life as E, who was basically Andre. So the stories that I heard of Andre, I began to act out. Whether I played basketball, whether I was on the honor roll, whether I had scholarships to school, whether I flipped houses, whether I had a good job, none of that stuff mattered to me internally. See, everything we face externally begins on the inside. On the inside, I was torn. Because I was torn, I chose that particular lifestyle. I encouraged some guys to rob some particular individuals. We robbed those particular individuals, and I didn't really know the people who I was committing these acts with.
Mm-hmm.
So when pressures was particularly applied, those individuals pretty much gave me up. They gave me up and left my mother open to harm. When her life was taken, individuals began to disappear. Those individuals began to disappear, I was brought to the attention of the authorities. Upon being arrested, interrogated about the disappearance of these individuals, and not having any information to provide, I was pretty much told, hey, you either going to give us this, or we're going to charge you with that. And so at that particular moment, being the guy, as I said, man, I really never really had major experience, trouble with the law.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, brother, we're going to have to continue this.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, Ben, I'm going to pause it here, then you just come back. I got you. I'll pause.
Being present and involved in this conversation. The state's witness will testify to the amount of money that was to be paid for the murder. A state's witness will testify to the individuals responsible for the payment. That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment. A state's witness will also testify to the individual who would receive this payment. The state's witness will testify that Kewan White was, in fact, the individual to receive this payment, who was originally indicted in State's Exhibit number 1, the probable cause, which is before this court. The state's witness would also testify that Kewan White, or to who shot and killed Melvin Ogle. This witness would also testify to Kewan White being the individual who shot and killed Mr. Noble on November 11th of 2020. Again, this conversation took place in the days following Mr. Noble's murder. The state has also had an opportunity to review bank records of the defendant, Marquise Conway. These records would show that the defendant drew $40,000 in the days following the murder.
Okay, we back. Islam, Mobile, you back there? You here?
Islam, yes, I am.
Okay, we back. You can get back, pick up where we left off with. Sorry for that interruption. Not the
Well, as I said,
go ahead. Where you was left off.
as I said, my story is one of redemption. I'm not here to speak about my innocence. I'm not here to speak about the injustice of the system. I'm not here to say that how I was wrong. I'm here to understand, to communicate the importance of accepting responsibility for your actions while demonstrating accountability through performing actions to help either renew, heal, or show individuals that due to a lifestyle that you live, you're willing to do things to make things right. That's what my life is currently about. As I said, growing up, I know it's a lot of people out there who have experienced hardship. They can come in many forms. Mine early on was living in a single-parent home where I witnessed my mother abused almost daily. There's someone call your mother out of her name, put their hands on her, be unable to help her, be unable to physically defend her. It makes a person feel a certain way. Specifically, a young male, he may feel as if he's weak, as if he's incapable. On top of hearing particular things from your father, it created, as I was speaking earlier, a certain type of psychological perception of myself. When I walk through life, despite what I accomplished, with an inferiority complex. It didn't matter that I was 21 years old, 20 years old, riding around in 745. It didn't matter that I was 20 years old with a $150,000 condo. It didn't matter that I had a fiance with a big carrots on her hand. None of the things that the average people would give value to mattered to me, because internally I could see none of that. So my story is about making certain people understand it's all right to express yourself. It's very important to understand the emotional struggles, traumas that you face. It's very important to get a hold of some information and around some people who actually care about you, not someone who's going to direct you down a path for their own self-benefit. Ain't no value, no success, ain't no prosperity coming from the street. I want to make certain that my voice, my experience, despite how tragic they were and that they are, that individuals can learn, not from having to go through it, but from listening and hearing the things that I'm expressing. I'm facing a life sentence, which means these people want me to die in here according to what's on that paper. As I said earlier, I got to the point I was so low that I was willing to commit suicide based upon the pressure of my conviction, based upon the wrongs and atrocities that I committed against people. I'm not no saint by a long shot. I've harmed people. I've encouraged other people to do wrong. So today, in this hour, I'm all about giving back. My life is dedicated to the spirit of love, to the spirit of prosperity, to the spirit of progression, to the spirit of peace. It's my duty to make certain that every person that encounters my path has the ability or a bridge to cross to get to a better place in life. Daily on this compound as the Vice President of the National Lifers of America, I make certain particular classes are facilitated. We have victim awareness, which is a very important class which I facilitate that helps individuals understand the perspective of the victim. So many of us commit crimes or have a miseducation as to the harm we cause to people. We don't know how long lasting those effects are. We don't even know how far they reach, which we call a ripple effect. Everything that you do reaches someone else, not just the person you harm. That person has a mother, that person has a daughter. Even in my case, my mother wasn't the only person harmed. It destroyed my entire family. Being the person that created that energy, I have to understand, because for so long I had a bitter, resentful position or perception. Why ain't nobody doing this? Or why ain't nobody doing that? At the end of the day, I put things into the atmosphere that created the loss of somebody that they love. And I wasn't raised that way. So I can understand why my aunts, my sisters were angry at my entire life. They encouraged me and told me, hey, this is not your lifestyle. Look at what happened to your brother. My brother and my mother's circumstances somewhat mirror. I was young when my brother died, but the individuals that were around my brother, to a degree, brought my brother to his demise.
That's
in connection with the way he lived life.
Can you tell him what happened to your
grew
brother?
Up being taught not to live a particular way and went that way. And the same circumstances occurred. And so when you bring in death, destruction, and harm to the doorstep to even those you love, they have a right. Individuals have a right to feel the way that they feel. You about to say something?
Oh, I was going to ask you, can you tell him what happened to your brother?
Well, my brother was involved in, selling narcotics. And to me, he was the coolest guy in the world, as I said. I never saw him not fresh. I never saw him without a woman. He always did exactly what we wanted. He took me to my first basketball game. He brought me my first pair of Jordans. But he was living a lifestyle that only breathed 9 times out of 10 two things.
Mm-hmm.
People say it's a cliche, but it's true. You're going to wind up dead and you're going to wind up in prison.
Facts.
It's very rare that anybody involved in criminal activity, specifically drugs, from an urban environment with a bunch of young urban males who really don't have no true understanding of the conditions that they create for themselves and others, is going to wind up on top. It don't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Tell them the outcome.
So his actions brought him to his demise, to where my brother was viciously murdered in the middle of the street. Here I sit, after being warned not to live that particular lifestyle. My mother was viciously murdered in the middle of the street. And so it took a lot for me to be able to first be able to accept and admit the wrongs that I committed. The fact that I disregarded every message that God put in my life, whether it was my family, whether it was the women in my life. They encouraged me and told me, hey, man, you're not no street guy. You don't have to be a street guy. The blessings that I had in my life came through legitimacy. The women that was in my corner, they wasn't encouraging me and saying, yeah, be a street guy. They saying, Edwards, you don't need to do that. You're intelligent. You got money. Stay on that path.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my purpose to shine a light on that. Every time I get a platform, that's what I speak about. Even as I said, I'm on a prison yard where most people kind of glorify the wrong way to live. For quite some time in prison, that was the atmosphere, the mindset. But I will say now that, especially at this facility that I'm at, we're given the ability to transform the lives of young men. And even some of these older guys to realize there ain't nothing wrong with doing the right thing. Think about the mindset that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to sell drugs in the environment, beef with people in the environment, meaning endanger lives, influence people to either burn down what you would consider the competition's house, devaluing the environment, and then be upset if somebody called the police to get me out of that environment. That's crazy.
For real.
So this is the mindset of unconscious individuals. And so, given the process that I've taken, the things that I've learned, the work that I've put in, because it just don't happen without work. I don't become who I am today without work. And the lessons I learned through life. My mother taught me some very, 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 very invaluable lessons. She instilled in me early responsibility. She instilled in me early dedication. She instilled in me early care for others. These are the things that I had to start giving life.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't allow. I'm gonna give you an example. I grew up in a household of pretty much me and my mother and my grandfather. He was around. He had, my mother would work. He would raise my sister while she was sick. My sister suffered from cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Passed at the age of 6 when I was 13 with brain tumor. So I watched my sister pretty much most of her life fight the cancer. So my sister, even though she experienced these hardships, there was never a down moment in her life. She never showed any anger, pain, resentment. She always smiled. Even to the moment that, my sister passed in my arms. She squeezed my hand, smiled, and that was her last moment. So during those moments, I watched my mother have to go through the pain of losing her child, even experiencing abuse in the household, going through that. So she taught me the importance of strength, of standing firm. She didn't allow that to defeat her or stop her from making certain that she still took care of me in the household. So in this condition, there were times where I felt like quitting. But when I reflect on the things that she went through that are 10 times greater than what I'm currently facing, it keeps me going. So I made certain that I established a means to take care of myself and others, even though I'm in prison. This is the mindset and the ability, talent that I have. So every day is an opportunity to move forward in life. I'm currently partaking in a mentorship with the Mac Live organization where we entitling it letters from the inside, where we write young men and
you have 1 minute remaining.
Some of the very things that I'm expressing to you on this phone.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody who has true care for you going to encourage you to go pick up a gun, go pick up some drugs, or get into a lifestyle that's going to lead you to prison, bring harm to your family, and potentially end the life.
If you can, you got time to call back one more call, Hicks still?
Yeah, I'll call you right back.
Yeah, call back because I want you to let them know about these programs that you actively in and trying to help the youth, because let them know that the streets ain't what it is. You feel me? And I'm glad you called with this message for them, my brother, for real. I appreciate you for this.
Yes, sir. I'll call right back.
All right. I'm going to pause.
66-2832.
Okay, we back.
Yeah, the program, as I say, the National Life of America, Chapter 1013, at the facility, Lakeland Correctional Facility. We're very active. We apply ourselves diligently on a daily basis to make certain that we demonstrate the importance of change of the mind. If you come in here and do all the time you want and leave out with the same mindset, you only going to get the same results. So we have programs that centered around, as I said, there's victim awareness, there's PTR, which is preparation, transition, and resources. We have parole readiness. We have a class called critical stage. There's a course called House of Healing. We're introducing Atlas of the Heart. Now, House of Healing and Atlas of the Heart and adverse childhood experiences, they all stem around understanding the experiences of your youth, which is adverse childhood experience. House of Healing stems around being able to see the inner you, understanding despite some of the actions, which we call subpersonality. Despite those characteristics, when you get back to the basis of you have the ability to restore your purity, despite what it is that you have done. These particular classes, as I said, victim awareness being one that I facilitate, the youth program being one that I facilitate. Their basis of victim awareness is understanding the impact of our actions on victims, understanding what empathy is. Many individuals possess these things, but don't know what they are and can't articulate them nor identify them. We have parole readiness, get individuals prepared to be able to communicate to the parole board. Each of these classes gives individuals information so that they can take a personal look at themselves. There's nothing more important than when you're in here than self-reflection. You have to be able to self-reflect and then correct that. You got to be willing to confront the flaws within yourself in order to become a better citizen. So I work daily to make certain that I'm an asset to society, not when I get out of prison or while I'm in prison. I'm doing the work right now that as soon as I walk out of these gates, because I'm going to walk out of these gates, I step out with momentum at my back. We're very involved in the community. We sponsored several events. We just did an event for the Branch County Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. So we utilized our relationship with the Prisoner Benefit Funds to donate $2,500. And also we had the men on the compound donate cosmetics in the form of Irish Spring soaps, VO5 shampoos and conditioners, Colgate toothpaste, and Lady Speed sticks. And we sent it to Naomi Davis House in Coldwater. We also partnered with Detroit Rescue Missions Ministry in Detroit to do the same thing with them, where we donated $2,500 and $500 in the same amount, $500 worth of cosmetics in the same items I just spoke about. Mm-hmm. We've done several backpack drives, one specifically with Irma Henderson Academy in Detroit. So we gave up about 100 backpacks and matching school materials for the youth. We constantly encourage young men, whether it's donate money so that they can have a gym accessible to them. Myself being a guy who played basketball, I understand how a gym can be refuge for. Sometimes people go there to hone skills, but sometimes people go there just to be around someone who cares for them so that they can utilize the space to get certain things off their minds. Me, I played basketball. I was pretty talented. Had I actually given the time to practice and improve myself, there's no telling where I would have went to. But I also utilized basketball as a means to escape some of the stuff that was going on in my house. Rather than being at home, witnessing somebody call my language, witnessing somebody call my mother a bitch, a slapper, I would just go to the gym all night. So certain areas in life, we make certain that we give great effort to make sure that the next young individual, as I said, whether male or female, has opportunities where they can find safe aid, where they're able to cultivate the better qualities of their life. We're currently doing another partnership with McAlive where we're doing a community guard. And here at various facilities across the state, we have guards where the inmate or the man or the woman go out and they cultivate the soil, they plant onions, green peppers, things of that nature. It's important to teach the youth how they can feed themselves and feed the community. But we also utilize the garden to build relationships. So while I'm out there with a guy who's younger than me and we tilling the soil, we actually building on the soil. We building these vegetables and these herbs and planting these seeds in the land, but we also planting and cultivating the mind, feeding the spirit and the soul. The same thing that we're doing with the earth so that it can produce positive fruit. So we got platforms for individuals to go check out. We the NLA, Chapter 1013, Facebook, individuals can join the group. We want to make certain that society knows that individuals are not just the wrongs that they committed. Individuals have the ability to come to prison, reflect on the things that they have done, change their mindset, put the work in, improve their lives, grow, and come out there and benefit society. Because of individuals such as myself, now I'm looking to prevent crime. I'm looking to make sure that no one creates a victim. Whether it's domestic, whether it's from drugs, whether it's a homicide. And we have individuals in prison who have influence to enter neighborhoods that, no disrespect to officers, that they don't have those type of established relationships. So as a society, it's about utilizing all of your resources for the benefit of the society. And that's really pretty much what we own. My life, as I said now, is dedicated to the legacy of my mother. I'm going to make sure everything that she instilled in me, the world sees. That's how I will be remembered and how I will be viewed. So we're going to create a garden with Macalá. We're going to make certain that we send the seeds from in here, that we donate to various charities. There's also one in Detroit called Boys Hope, Girls Hope. I sat back one day on the news and I watched it. They provide young men and women the opportunity to further themselves in their areas of careers and education. The opportunities that they may not have, this organization provides. So the Prison to Benefit Fund at Lakeland Correctional Facility and the National Lifelines of America, Chapter 1013 is going to partner with them. We're probably going to try to donate them anywhere upwards of $3,000 to help one of those young men and women towards some of their tuition funding.
That's what's
I
up.
co-founded a business since I've been in here, Charles Lewis Investment Group. We sponsored a Celebrating Womanhood dinner event last November at the Yamos, the Detroit Renaissance Center on the riverfront, where we fed about 70 women. We awarded them. We celebrated their accomplishments. Individuals can go to www.charleslewisinvestments.com or the Charles Lewis Investment Group Facebook, and you can see all of this. This is who Edward is. He no longer exists.
That's what's up, man. I commend you on all the accomplishments you're doing. You're not just sitting in jail playing spades and basketball. You actually still trying to help the youth and the community. I applaud you for that, my brother, for real. Now,
Yes, I appreciate that.
now with y'all organizations, how do they let y'all interact with the youth out here? I know you interacting with the young brothers that's coming in there, but what about crime prevention? Are y'all able to program with the brothers out here before they get to there?
Yeah, we currently, as I said, we partner with Macalá. They have a mentorship which has young men between the ages of 12 and 7. It begins on April the 12th. So if anybody is interested, you can contact Brother Marco Hardill over at Macalá. You can get a young man between the ages of 12 and 17 enrolled in that program. What we're doing is we write those young men letters. Pretty much as how I expressing myself to you, introducing ourselves first and foremost. Then we're going to go off into the importance of values, conflicting values, why the importance of having a personal constitution. They provide career skills for them, carpenter skills for them, mechanical skills. So once they complete the program, they have the ability to walk straight off into some type of professional career.
With a trade.
On top of that, coming in July, utilizing these young guys in here in partnership with our external board and Dion Rigondeal, we're probably going to promote it and throw it at the Godland Unity Church in Detroit. So we're trying to get 100 youth. The young men in here want to explain to them their stories, encourage them not to walk down the same path, provide them a raffle so where they can potentially win a PS5 system, multiple multiple gift cards, pay one of their parents' rent, do everything to demonstrate to them the importance of pretty much staying on the right path.
That's right.
So that'll be in July.
This July, okay. I'm gonna get with you to get all them dates and I'm gonna get all the information that they need. And what is the qualification for the 13 to 17-year-old? Let them know what their qualification is so they don't think it's hard to get the part.
12 to 17 now, it's the ages of 12 to 17. There are no qualifications.
Yeah,
12 to 17, you want to be involved in the program. It's a great opportunity. As I said, when I was 12 and 17 years old, looking at the things I went through in life, it was imperative, extremely essential for someone to hear someone from the opposite side of the spectrum. hey man, that guy you looking at who riding down the street in that Benz, that was me. Look good right now. If you have to sit in prison for 20 years, if you lose your woman, if you're unable to see your mother, when you fall out with your children because the system will push you away from them and it's designed for that, all that money you think you got in your pocket is gone. When people running off on you, when you losing your health, when your mind begins to fade due to the pain you're experiencing from that very act, people would never travel down that path.
That's right, because the streets ain't what it is.
Not at all.
And let them know how did you get to this point now that you at? You feel me? Because see, I heard you mention that you used to use basketball to get away from the traumas that you was living with every day in your household. Well, the youth now, because it wasn't in our time, but the time now is they turn into the gangs. Detroit flooded, the streets of Michigan flooded with gangs now. So what would you say to that? Because they don't have nowhere else to turn. They feel they don't have nowhere else to turn because they shut down all the schools. Really, you feel me? Ain't no rec programs like we grew up with 4-H's and all that, the Girls and Boys Club. So how you can direct them to the positive influences that still exist?
Well, in my experience, or it's always a gym open, and my understanding of the gang. They weren't created for destructive purpose.
That's right.
Every gang that I know of, given that I'm in prison and I deal with guys who, whether they blood, whether they vice lords, whether they...
You have 1 minute remaining.
Whether they G's, it ain't about destruction. It ain't about destroying and harming one another. It's important that we, the leaders of whatever organization, we get together and we build up our community. It ain't nothing for you and I to get together and purchase a house and turn it into a recreation center. So
That's
that
right.
Youth can have somewhere to go. But they do need to know that we love them, we care for them, that we want the best for them. But, this call gonna end.
When you go call back, Hicks, let the people know when you can call back because I gotta get all that information from you too.
I'll call right back if you need me to.
All right, you call back then when we get all that information out to the people and get this message to them. This is very positive, and they need to know where to find different resources at instead of the negative.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll wait on your call.
Thank you for using GTL.
That's Brother Hicks. That's one of my brother mans of faith, and he go call back and share this other information with y'all, man. Y'all stay tuned and get the youth. Get this message out, like, comment, and share this with the youth that's in y'all life if y'all care about them. You feel me? Because it's a different narrative that we need to paint. We got to change the narrative that they viewing now, thinking that all things that's harm is right now. You feel me? With that, just stay tuned. Hold on. I'm gonna pause it right here.
GTL customer service at 855-466-2832. To accept this call, press 0. To receive, your current balance is $4.27. This call is from a correctional facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Three-way calls are strictly prohibited in a violation of NVOC policy. Thank you for using GTL.
Yeah, we back. So we got Hicks back with us, and he displaying and letting y'all know other resources and how to get y'all youth involved with some of these programs that's on the positive note and that can teach them some job trade skills so they can feed their families as they grow.
Yeah, as I said, we have various platforms. For anybody interested, you can always go to NLA Chapter 1013 Facebook group. We continuously have information on there about the things that we're doing in the community, the programs that we create for the youth, individuals going to be for partnerships, such as Macallah, such as Godland Unity Church.
Not.
Thank you for using GTL.
I'm going to push the button. That call was ended. He'll try to call back. He hit the button. He didn't hit the button by mistake. But that's Brother Hicks ill. He's currently doing a life bit, and he done changed his life, and he's trying to better himself as well as help better the community. And he's starting off with the youth. So I want y'all to check out all them programs that he have mentioned. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this message, and get it to the young people in y'all lives. You ain't gotta get it to young people you don't know. Share it with your nieces, your nephew, your own children. You know what I'm saying? Your godchildren, the youngster next door. It's up to us to help change the narrative. We can't just say, oh, they wilding out. They can't be talked to. You can't give up on them. I know they very difficult. Hold on, this Hicks here calling back. That wasn't him. That's my bad. I thought that was him. That was somebody else. So we go get this out to y'all right now. Like I said, like, comment, share, and hit that subscribe button, and spread it out and share this with your next of kin. At least share it with one person. Help me get my message out. And anything that y'all could do to help, that y'all see that I might need to bring to the hookup besides clear up my visuals and my audio, hit that comment button. I respond to you. You feel me? With that being said, I'm gonna get out of here right now. Remember that the streets ain't what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's 1,000,001 urban. It's 1,000,001 stories in the urban community, but this just for one. We got plenty more to get to. So hit that like, comment, and share, and get my rates up if y'all like what I'm doing. Appreciate y'all. And this is the Beat Factory 313 War Stories Podcast. And I'm your host, Juice, and we out.
Attention all the rap nationwide. Attention all young rap nationwide. If you rap, just rap. If you got some motion, keep your motion. Because let me explain something to you. The United States Federal Penitentiary or the state penitentiary ain't nothing like home. Ain't no place like home. So just rap. See, Lil Durk didn't get the assignment, but Chief Keef did. He wanted to play hard in the trenches. Chief Keef flew to LA and got the fuck away from you who was smart. Rollo got the assignment after 6 years. NBA Youngboy got the assignment. Young Thug got the assignment after 3-4 years. Lucci got the assignment. Boosie got the assignment after he was facing that needle. Just rap. These people out here paying y'all $30, $40, and $50,000 a show. They giving y'all $750,000 for a deal. They giving y'all $1 million for the deal. Just rap. Stop ordering them motherfucking bowls from Cali. Stop sending them back. Go rap and get your money. Go rap and get your money. All them around you, cut they off. Surround yourself with solid that want to see you win and rap. Go to the studio. That's digital real estate. Go rap. You can forever sell your music. Own your masters. Study. Own your craft. Get out the streets. Stop putting hits out on call ops. You's a mama's boy. You's a mama's boy. Your mama, you've been living with your mama your whole life. They giving out this free money. They giving it out. I make it every day. $5,000 to $10,000 a day. Ain't nothing like some money and some pussy. Y'all out here playing these games. YMW Melly ain't get the picture. He about to get a bomb, but he been in that motherfucker damn near 8 years. Lil Durk on the roof right now, playing basketball at Rec in LA County motherfucking federal detention center. You better get y'all mind right. You better get out these streets and rap. Montana 700, Z and F Doe, you better get the rapping. Fuck them in the trap. They don't want to get their shit together and follow behind y'all. Fuck them. All them putting hits out on them, going to war with them. Fuck them. You better get your money and rap. Y'all know who the fuck it is. The one with all the motion. West Cuddy.